Hello and welcome to Talking Point. I'm Deborah Soon.
And I'm PN Balji. Tonight's topic, one that hasn't died down, living with foreign workers.
Can Singaporeans open their hearts and make space for foreign workers in their neighbourhood? A week ago, the government said it will go ahead to house 600 manufacturing and services workers in Serangoon Gardens, despite the furore and objections raised by residents. But it will put in place some measures to address their concerns on congestion, safety and noise.
But other residents in the area who will now be affected by the DOM are up in arms because they say that the problem has been pushed into their backyard at Tai Hwan Gardens.
We've tried to convince Tai Hwan residents to join us today to air their concerns, but none wanted to go on record, so we have with us instead Erasmus Simone from Tai Yuen Heights, just a few minutes away from the affected Tai Hwan Gardens, and Mr. Eric Tan, a dormitory operator who oversees 3 foreign workers' dormitories here.
Well, Simone, can we ask you the first question?
Yes, sure.
You are now living in an area which is just next to Serangoon Gardens.
Yes.
And when the first news appeared, the focus was really in Serangoon Gardens. You know? But now with the government compromise, it looks like there is a possibility that this will also affect you and your neighbours.
Yes.
How do you feel about it?
Well, my first concern was transport. I felt that the government would have to expand on its transport to accommodate the increase in the population in that area. And I could...
When you mean transport, you're thinking of traffic jams and the squeeze for the public transport?
The squeeze for public transport primarily. So how many people are going to take one bus to the nearest MRT station? So I think that's a concern for all the residents living along Ang Mo Kio Avenue 1, which stretches onto Boundary Road. So that's something I think that everybody is a bit worried about.
Was that your primary concern, though? I mean, are there other issues that you were concerned about?
That was my primary concern, but I was aware of other issues that, for instance, my neighbours talked about or that my family mentioned. I think, well, the chief issues would be integrating with our culture and with our community. That means that right down to the manufacturing workers, their behaviour in public. And it's hard to say would it be positive or negative in terms of its impact on the community, but I think that more has to be done in terms of communicating with the workers.
But do you really think that integration can happen? Now, these people are coming here. Their only aim is to earn money, right, to take back home. They're just going to be here for maybe 2 years, 3 years. So do you think integration is ever possible? We even among ourselves in Singapore, after 43 years of history, I don't think we have really integrated as well as we should have.
Well, that's true. I think that people talking about the manufacturing workers, the way that we do, it makes us think about, well, do we say we're really multi-ethnic? And the fact that we find it difficult to integrate them already. I think that integration can be achieved with communication. And I think so far that the manufacturing workers' voice has been silent. So if anything, I think there has to be some sort of communication, maybe a representative from the manufacturing workers section, and to discuss issues with the community with an official present. I think that's essential.
Eric, you run dorms where there are manufacturing workers. Would you run a dorm like this one in Serangoon Gardens? Would you actually tender for something like this?
For us, we are actually looking at dormitories on long-term tenure, which means these are purpose-built permanent dormitories like HDB flats. For a temporary site like Serangoon Gardens, generally we are not that interested in this kind of...
Why are you not interested?
Okay, reasons is simple. First of all, the tenure is too short, right?
How long is the tenure?
I think it's 5 years.
5 years?
3 to 5 years. Right. And it doesn't make sense to demolish the building and to rebuild it, right? If you were to look at retrofitting the building, it would cost a lot if you want to make them self-contained apartments like HDB flats. Based on our experience, we know that manufacturing workers, they do like to stay in self-contained apartments, which we are managing about 1,200 over units. So I don't really see why they would like communal living, like shared toilets, facilities, shared kitchen, and just to have their bedrooms to themselves. So we feel that manufacturing workers really have a high standard of living. They want a high standard of living condition.
And you think that this dorm, this premise at Serangoon Gardens would not actually be a right fit for them?
I don't think it would be a right fit, yeah.
Okay, in terms of fitting in the community, which is Simone's concern, and with residents, I mean, what are some of the concerns you would have as an operator for manufacturing dorms,
Okay, I think generally manufacturing dormitories, the workers staying there largely are Chinese nationals. So by virtue of their nationality, they can really assimilate into our local culture better than, say, a Bangladeshi worker, right? So I would think that in terms of assimilation, it will definitely be better. Yeah.
In terms of the treatment of, I mean, what the authorities say now, they're going to fence up, block up the area, and so that they're sort of like out of sight from Serangoon Gardens, but open the access road onto the other side of Ang Mo Kio Avenue. Do you think there's a right treatment or the right approach to handling how we should integrate or how we should house foreign workers in Singapore?
I think foreign workers are just like any one of us. They need space. They need to move around during their off days. So it is inevitable that they will move around the neighborhood, right? So I think the best way forward is to actually educate them on what are the socially acceptable norms in Singapore, and also to make sure that they do understand what are the do's and don'ts in Singapore. Like no littering, no illegal gathering at parks and all that kind of stuff. So it's really a long-term education process for the workers to make it effective.
Simon, can I come back to you and on the issue of concerns,
Right.
I think you mentioned top concern as communication,
yes.
but residents in Serangoon Gardens have raised other issues.
Yes.
Are these your concerns too?
I think one of the issues raised was about their own domestic help, developing relationships with the manufacturing workers.
Okay.
For my family, it's not a concern because we have a very good relationship with our domestic help. So I think that, well, the opportunity does present itself when you have lots of manufacturing workers in the area, but I think it also boils down to employer-employee relationships within the home. So I think we have to take a step back and think about what we can do on our side to improve the situation.
Eric, do you find that these concerns are valid? I mean, you've run several dorms. Do you find that, look, the foreign workers here in these dorms, manufacturing or services sector, actually fraternize with mates or with other locals? I mean, have you got these sort of security concerns or when you run a dorm?
We generally don't have, because our dormitories are generally located away from housing estates and they're all in industrial areas. So chances are this kind of thing would not happen. They usually cycle to work, the buses come and pick them to work, and that's it. Yeah. So during weekends and their off days, whatever they do outside, they can just roam around where they like, but we don't really see them mixing around with the mates, of the houses and all that. Yeah.
But given that this dorm is in a housing estate, do you expect this to be a problem?
I don't really think so. Yeah, because I think the mates, they don't really have off days, right? They have to work in their homes, right? So I don't really think that the workers will.
On Sunday, it's mandatory now.
The employers have to go on leave, right?
Well, there's
they're
that
on
too,
holidays,
yes.
so we don't know what happens. I just want to come back to the point about the dorm, because you run a completely different dorm from the one that's going to come up in Serangoon Gardens.
That's right.
What kind? I mean, they go to work. The workers go to work. The workers go to work, come back, right?
Yes.
Then sleep. But they must have some kind of release, right? And that release must come outside the dorm. Have you had any issues? Have you heard about any issues involving the workers who are accommodated in your dorms?
What sort of security problems? I mean, do they cause problems? Are there any complaints?
Fights?
Generally, no, right? Because we do have security guards, guarding our dorms 24 hours. We have CCTVs, motion detectors around our fence. So problems, if there are, right, is within the unit, we will actually contact the employers to look into the problems, right? So generally, problems are very far and few. And we often don't allow people to bring in liquor into the dormitory. So they can drink all they want outside, but they can't bring it in. Yeah. So we do have good house rules to the workers to make sure that they do comply to house rules. And if there's any incident, we will complain to the company tenants and get the company reps to take action on their workers.
All right, thank you very much, Eric and Simone. I'm sure this issue will not die down as we have more foreign workers in Singapore and we'll have to house them. That's all the time we have for tonight's program. We hope to hear from you. Email us at talkingpoint@channelnewsasia.com. Good night.